Hi everyone, and welcome to the Scorpio Weekly Illumination Reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome. So this reading is meant to engage you with the Triad of Engagement, which is working with the three core principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation, and demonstrating how when we use these together, we can bring awareness to our unique internal authentic selves and how best to engage that with our external environment to be able to experience the emotional fulfillment that comes from realizing our spiritual potential. All right, so Scorpio, we're going to jump right into your reading. Now, sometimes I get intuitive messages as I'm stepping into your energy while I'm shuffling your cards. And today I did get a little bit of an intuitive message. As I was stepping into your energy, I saw a snake. And what immediately came to me, now it was a kind of a green, pretty snake. And there was this quality to that came through very strongly of having just shed a skin and coming out kind of this fresh, pretty new version of yourself, but also vulnerable. So there's this quality of having outgrown a part of yourself. You're stepping out as this new version, and yet there's this vulnerability that comes with doing so. And I think some of you are sitting with that energy right now. So I don't know if that's going to come through in the cards, but it's what came through to me as I was stepping through. And I like to just share those messages because hopefully they resonate with somebody who's meant to watch this. So the first card I'm going to pull here is meant to help us engage with the core principle of curiosity. And curiosity is really about getting us to step into that childlike place of awe and wonder towards our external environment as well as our internal environment. We are trying to break through and engaging with curiosity. That, I would say, negative mindset that we can slip into as we move from childhood into adulthood, where we feel like we have either seen it all, done it all, or we know what will happen when we do this, or we know what already happens when we engage this part of ourselves, or we think we know who we are and that we can't change. And in reality, we are constantly evolving and growing, as much on a physical and mental level as on an emotional and spiritual level. And curiosity is what helps us kind of break through those negative thought patterns back into that childlike sense of optimism and wonder. Because when you think about a child hasn't experienced much of life. And so for them, they greet every unknown, especially with regards to what they don't know about themselves, with openness and receptivity. And that's really what we're engaging with curiosity. We're really wanting to see, what does Spirit want us to engage with? What do we not realize about ourselves this week that we're going to become aware of, that is meant to be engaged to help us better experience and have a sense and a vision of our spiritual purpose as we move out into the world? So we have, and it's interesting because this card came out for one of the air signs. I can't remember which one, but you have Dream Talk. And it says, your subconscious constantly and subtly speaks through your dreams. It's just one of the many ways in which your soul and those here in the spirit world can reach out and communicate with you through signs, symbols, messages, and more. And I love the pretty blue color. There's this quality coming through of connection to the third eye as well as to the throat chakra, which seems to be kind of a running theme this month for all signs. This connection between here and here, really connecting with Spirit, but also being able to kind of speak what you want, your intentions, the vision for yourself into existence. It's a really powerful theme this month of being able to do that. Now we are going to build a question, since we're dealing with curiosity, and curiosity is all about asking those questions, the whys, the hows, the wheres, the whens. And so we're going to build in a question that is going to take what is a very general reading here and make it an individualized reading for yourself, in that this question is meant for you to ask yourself throughout this week to bring awareness to some aspect of yourself, that hopefully by the end of the week, in bringing awareness to that self, you will be able to answer that question, and therein making this reading specific for you. Okay, so the question. So as I'm thinking about this card in Dream Talk, dreams are definitely a way for the spirit world, but also for our direct connection to the divine spirit, God, the universe, however you choose to see it. It's a way for us to be able to bring in, I'd say, guidance and answers when we are completely shut down, when our defenses are shut down, if that makes sense, that we are not in a waking place to bring forward those negative thought patterns, where instantly when spirit maybe, or even spirit moving through somebody else, when an outside event or a person tries to bring up something that we're not willing to see or hear or connect with, we can put up those defenses. No, I can't do that. No, I can't take that piece of advice because I already know what happens when this happens, when I do that. Or no, I can't move jobs because this negative thing will happen if I do that. And no, I'm not going to take that guidance because I don't like that person, whatever it is. We have defenses up against sometimes when spirit tries to come in our waking lives. But in when we go to sleep, we have this unique ability to just kind of be, again, it's obviously at rest, but at peace. We have this beautiful place for spirit to connect with us in a way where we can get those messages and not have those defenses up. So this week, I'd say definitely pay close attention to your dreams. But also what I'm really feeling coming through here is a tie-in to actually last week's message, which was helping you refocus on a dream or a hope or a wish or a vision for yourself, and really bringing through that message of it can be, it is meant for you. You just have to keep working towards it and having faith in the divine that this is what is meant for you. I really do feel, it is my belief, that we each have unique hopes and dreams that are singular for ourselves. And it's not just for us to daydream and to pass time and for them to never be realized. When we follow dreams, there's a very real application for us to utilize a dream for ourselves, a hope, a vision, a wish. Because in following that dream and trying to make that manifest, no, it doesn't always manifest in the way or result in the way that we maybe have intended, but it brings us further down the path towards our full potential, meaning we are moving forward. When we're trying to achieve a dream or a hope or a wish for ourselves, we are moving forward. We are engaging ourselves, that unique dream or hope or wish, with our external environment. And therein we are journeying further down our path. So for you this week, the intuitive message that I'm coming through for this, for you to ask yourself, is where, in thinking about the vulnerable snake and having just shed their skin, what part of yourself currently is the most vulnerable that you want to bring forward into your external environment? That if you think about it, maybe the snake before being this beautiful green emerald color had been something else. Maybe you were blue or brown or black or whatever colors snakes come in. But now you're this really new, pretty, shiny creature, and it's gonna bring in, it's gonna attract people to you, because people love to see when something is new, and especially when it's shiny and new. Now, that's going to be difficult when you're feeling vulnerable, when you're feeling like you want to show yourself off and you want to show this new version, but you know at the same time that you just shed a skin, and so it's almost like you kind of have to go through the healing process a little. And that's really hard when people come up and want to kind of poke and prod at you, especially when this can take a very real, I'm trying to think of a tangible description of this, but this can come when, let's say you've made a big life change. You have changed jobs or even changed industries, fields, maybe left one, let's say you left, because this is where I can see some of the biggest questions coming through. Let's say you left I'd say very well respected industry or field. Let's say you're a doctor, a lawyer, an IT professional, something along those lines, and suddenly you're going towards a creative path, which can lead to you feeling very vulnerable and insecure because it's not as readily accepted as, let's say, one of the other kind of tried and true professions. And so you're feeling a little sensitive as it is, but you're trying to follow a dream or a hope or a wish for yourself. And the first thing people are going to do when they see you and hear that you have changed from this profession that, again, is highly esteemed and people think is what you should be doing, and hear that you're doing something that maybe they don't quite understand, they're going to instantly come in and ask you those hard questions. Well, why? Why did you do that? How come? Oh, really? Well, why? Do you really think your writing or your painting or your graphic design is really going to make an impact? Are you going to be able to support yourself? And people will come at you with almost that tone of voice. And when you are still kind of raw from making that transition, from shedding that skin and transforming into this new version of yourself, that can feel like somebody is poking at you, at your sensitive new skin. And what I would say really to focus on this week is, what is that most vulnerable part? What is the part where when people ask you a question around it? And most of the time people are not asking questions or wanting to gain more information about certain aspects of you because they want to hurt you or because they want to come across as mean or they want to poke and prod you. It's because they're just legitimately curious. They're engaging with their own element of curiosity. They want to know more about you. They are drawn and attracted to the change that you're going through. And so what part of yourself feels the most vulnerable at this moment? What part feels that if people asked you about it now, as you're moving towards this, as you're opening yourself up to the possibility that this dream or hope or wish for yourself can be real, what feels like you want to protect it and that you might want to, like a snake, lash out and bite somebody who gets too close? Because that's really going to show you what's important for you to protect, but also where you can start to mitigate a little bit and bring back that instant snake-like protective mechanism of and dial it back a little bit to re-examine. And when we're thinking about the color blue in the throat chakra, re-examine how you express this new version of yourself. How do you want to describe yourself to people? I mean, this is a new version of you. Now, this could even be following a path towards a new relationship or following a path towards liberating yourself in another aspect. Maybe you've always had a bunch of money and you've decided to offload that and live like a nomad. Whatever it is, everybody has a different living situation. There's an element here of being able to, we can fully step up into the power of the new versions of ourselves when we are confident in that version of ourselves and we are able to confidently speak that to others, to share our truth, but not in a way that is defensive, not in a way that actually makes, when we become defensive, that can actually change a person's perspective of our transformation. And so the power of our words can, be very powerful. So I'm getting really strongly for you, Scorpio. It's about this week focusing on channeling spirit and being able to take those messages that maybe are coming through in your dreams of the version of yourself and how you want to be seen, and bring that down so that when you get poked and prodded, instead of that initial response of you know how to describe in an engaging and optimistic way the change you're going through. Because that's going to draw in even more people, and it's going to make them ask more questions. And the more questions you get asked, the more you're going to also really be able to see the importance of the transformation you went through. Why did you have to go through all the pain of growing and shedding the skin to become this new shiny version of yourself? It's not so that you are open to people poking and prodding and wounding you. It's so that you are this new version, because this new version has a new purpose, a new place to further you down your path to realizing your spiritual potential. So again, that question, what part of yourself in your current experience feels the most vulnerable? What part of yourself that if people ask questions about, you would want to lash out? Because that's the part that you're going to have to practice becoming confident in, integrating it. And, this could be something where perhaps you bring you back to a relationship. Maybe you have been unlucky in love, or maybe you've had bad experiences previously, but now in your current experience, you really want to have that family and have that loving partner. But in the past, you've maybe come across as a little jaded, or you didn't speak that way. Maybe you never wanted to have a family or a partner, a dedicated partner, but now you do. And people are like, oh, you used to be so strong. You used to be so, kind of anti, let's say maybe even gender roles. Maybe now you're changing and you really want to step up into that gender role. You really want to, be in the home with the children, or you really want to be that provider to a family. And that's okay. But now it's about practicing speaking from that place, because the more you speak from that place in a way that is positive and confident, the more you're actually going to embody that. And that's how we realize dreams. That's how we realize new versions of ourselves. That's how we grow and evolve. Okay, now I'm going to pull an energy oracle card to engage us with the core principle of courage. And this is where we get to step into having the courage to take conscious action and make conscious decisions. What does that mean? That means that we are aware of every single decision and every action we take throughout the day, and we consciously engage ourselves with it and through it, and vice versa. So we are always aware that every little decision we make builds our reality, builds our perspective and our perception, and in reality colors our world. We only live our life and we can only see our perspective. And so all those little decisions, the more we become consciously aware of them and engage with them and realize the importance of even the smallest decision, like something as simple as whether to take a nap or keep pushing yourself, that can be a make or break decision in the long run, when maybe you needed to take a nap here and there, but you kept pushing yourself, and further down the line, you have a breakdown because you're exhausted. And instead, if you would have just every so often, because you're consciously engaged in courageously taking action on your own behalf, you would have just said, you know what, today, I know I have responsibilities, but I need to take a nap. I need to let myself rest. And ultimately down the line, that allows you to keep going at a regular paced speed instead of burning yourself out to the point where then you hit a brick wall and it creates all kinds of health issues and other things. So courage is meant to keep us consciously engaged with our seat of personal control. We get to control the actions we take. We get to control the decisions. And this is where we can prevent ourselves from having whole entire days and weeks and sometimes even years slip by without us kind of realizing that we just kind of go into this like sleepwalking trance of going through the motions of doing the same routines, and then waking up one day and going, how did I get here and who am I? Okay, so the cards that came out, we have anxiety number 18 and we have the thinking man number 46. So the number 18 breaks down to number 9, and the number 46 breaks down to a 10 and then a 1. Interesting. There's something, now the anxiety part really is playing into kind of what I was feeling here with asking you questions. There's this anxiety almost around a part of yourself. And when I see the thinking man here, I see this individual looking at the crystal in his hand. And again, these cards don't have to be gender specific. What I'm getting through here is that there's kind of a masculine energy, a doer's energy coming through here. And there's really what's coming through is you're in a place right now where you're thinking about your life. You're thinking about almost the magic of what you can build for yourself, of the new potential that your life holds. But this comes with some anxiety. Why? Well, for obvious reasons. You're changing. And when we change, that's when our external environment changes. So when we change ourselves first, then that's when we draw in new people, new circumstances, new events. And that can come with some anxiety. Change is not always welcomed. We really crave security. Humans crave security. And that's why we often don't have the courage to take action, because we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to change something that maybe is providing us a certain level of stability, even though it is no longer bringing us happiness. Many people, and myself included at a certain point in my life, traded happiness for stability. And ultimately, down the line, you will end up losing both, because you've been unhappy for quite some time or have denied yourself the full realization of joy in your life. And stability is only an illusion, because we live in a world that is in constant change. That is the only constant in our existence. And so as much as what you may be sacrificing something for stability today, well, whatever's creating that stability for you could be gone tomorrow or could change in some way. So this is not about clinging to the old version of yourself out of stability. It's about envisioning what the new version of you is going to create for yourself and releasing this. So the 18 breaks down to a number 9. The number 9 is the end of a cycle. It's the one step before the 10, which then breaks down to a 1. So the 10 harnesses both the beginning and the full completion. And the 9 is that last step. It's that culmination of a cycle. It's you realizing all of the beautiful lessons learned in that cycle and being able to bring them forward into the new cycle, bring them forward into the new, and I love this crystalline thing that he's holding in his hand. There's this quality of magic, the magic of lessons learned, but also the magic of you can see whatever you want to see in there. And it's almost like he's kind of realizing that, like, oh my gosh, this is my new beginning. This is the new vision for myself. I'm finally seeing it. And you're thinking on it. So this week, have the courage to release the anxiety around. Now, if you notice, they're kind of like, he's looking here and she's looking here. Redirect your focus to this to overcome your anxiety. So this week, take courageous action to become consciously aware that each and every time you start to worry about the new focus for yourself, the new version of yourself and what you want, part of yourself that's vulnerable, that's going to play into realizing this hope or dream or wish for your future self, that as you start to worry, like, what is this going to look like? Is this going to mean that I'm going to have to leave my job? What other parts of my life is this going to unsettle or destabilize? Refocus and take courageous, conscious action to stop that thought, that thinking, and redirect that to the vision of yourself that you'd like to see. Now, because I really feel strongly that this week there's something about the power in words, I would highly recommend that each time, now obviously if you're, shared work environment or you're out in public and you don't feel comfortable just speaking it out loud, you can think it, but if you have the ability to speak it out loud, each and every time you start to kind of go down this rabbit hole of a little bit of anxiety or worry about this new vision for yourself, or the pursuit or taking action towards it, speak out loud what you want to see for yourself. And speak out loud if you can. Imagine somebody's questioning you about the changes and speak out loud the why behind the new you, the why behind the moves you're making, the why behind whatever, the changes that are occurring in your life. And really step into this and step into that harnessing of the number 1. So this is moving from the number 9 to the number 10 and then harnessing that energy of 1. So have the courage to release anxiety through redirecting towards the vision for yourself and how you're going to create that. And this week, if you can verbalize how you're going to create that, that's going to be really powerful for you. Journaling, I always recommend, but verbalizing this week, I feel, is going to be really powerful. Okay, so Scorpio. Last card here is to engage us with the core principle of contemplation. And contemplation is important because we get to actively reflect. What does active reflection mean? Active reflection means that in the moment, as we are consciously taking action, we then get to actively reflect in that moment what were the consequences of that action. And this is how we get to continually self-educate and grow and evolve through direct experience with our external environment. And it's a way to keep us from becoming stagnant, because instead of just waiting to contemplate during our 30-minute penciled and meditation time, or waiting to contemplate 10 years down the line about your life and all the intricacies of it, we get to actively build in reflection and contemplation throughout the day. And again, it's a practice. It's something that the more that you do it, the more you are engaging with life, because you can actively and quickly shift. So if you take an action and you get a negative consequence, you can go right back to your action taking center and shift and change a little bit. You can't control the reactions of others, and you can't control how your external environment reacts, but you can control how you take action the next time. Now, obviously, if you get a beneficial reaction or a consequence, then you know to keep doing the action that you took to begin with. Okay, so we have 4 cards that came out. It's a big message. So we have the crumbling. What are you clinging to? Love when this card comes out. It's kind of like the Tower card in the tarot. We have dance with life. Do something to change up your energy. And it's interesting because Cancer just got this one as well. We have soul family. Call in your tribe. You do not have to do it alone. And we have council of light. Divine orchestration. Helpers in the subtle realms. So when you see all of these cards together, the crumbling, what are you clinging to? Dance with life, do something to change up your energy. Soul family, call in your tribe, you're not alone. And we have council of light, divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. This is really stating here that this is the change in your life, the new version of yourself is due to divine intervention. The Tower comes out when we have not been listening to ourselves, to our intuition, to our direct connection to spirit, and when we have been clinging to stability. And what then happens is the divine comes in to tear down the tower, so to speak, to tear down what actually is no longer creating stability. It's become a prison. When you think of a tower, you always, not always, but you oftentimes think of somebody imprisoned in that tower. And so when things have to crumble and change in our lives, it's for our best interest, because what was creating a sense of security had become our prison. And when you notice here, if these walls crumble, well, what's on the other side? It's beauty. It's idyllic. It's filled with color. And sometimes we don't realize that we've been living in a colorless place until we see it, until something is knocked out of our way, knocked down around us, and we're forced to change, we're forced to move, we're forced to leave a job, we're forced to realize some aspect of ourselves that needed to change. And then suddenly it's like Dorothy stepping out of the house in The Wizard of Oz. Everything is in Technicolor. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't know life could be like this. And that's what the divine is trying to tell you. And with these two cards coming in, this is coming through because of help from divine help. And you don't have to go it alone. It can be scary when things change. It can be really scary when we are faced with knowing that we have to give up something or a version of ourselves. But this never happens without Spirit saying, no, there are people around you who are going to support you. Because the whole reason why this happens is for us to get back moving on our path. Often I never like to say that we're off our path. We're always on our path because we only have one life to live. It's ours, and there's only one path for us. It's us moving forward. But we can get stuck at points in that path where we don't have the courage to go any further because there's an obstacle. And this crumbling, the tower moment, is when the divine comes in to help us a little bit get past that obstacle. That even though the divine has given us all the tools to move past that obstacle, if we haven't decided to do it ourselves, that's when the divine says, okay, I'm going to come in and give you a helping hand. I know that this is difficult, but it has to happen. Please keep moving forward. And then that's when people come in to help you. That's when sometimes we get that really interesting connection with somebody that comes out of the blue. And maybe that's only a connection for a short period of time, but it's somebody or something that comes in that resonates with you in that moment that can provide you with a little bit of that guidance. And I really feel that strongly coming through. And then here with the dance with life, do something to change up your energy. Well, these two are hand in hand. This is what the divine wants you to feel like. The divine doesn't want you to give up happiness for stability. The divine wants you to keep moving and dancing with life, engaging. You're meant to live here, not here. Now, obviously, there's a balance with everything. We can't know the light unless we see the dark. You know, when you think about the movie Wizard of Oz, the Technicolor world that Dorothy steps out into wouldn't have been so awe-inspiring if the whole movie from the start had been in Technicolor. You know, just seeing big flowers and a fairy in a big poofy dress isn't enough to be awe-inspiring. What the change was going from the sepia tone black and white quality of the start of the movie to then her coming out and seeing everything in full color. And that's sometimes what we have to do. We have to go through that darkness. We have to go through a little bit of what feels like a sepia-toned world to see the light, to see the beauty, and to appreciate it. Because otherwise we might have missed it. So this week, Scorpio, it's about realizing that whatever's changing is not meant to be pushed back or away. That, yes, it may be a little scary right now, that things are disruptive, that you are having to give up a little bit of security in some aspect to become this new version of yourself, this new shiny snake, this new beautiful version. But it's not about striking out and lashing out at other people when they try to come close to see the new shiny version of you. It's about welcoming them to say, yes, look at me. Look at what I'm creating for myself. I'm courageously taking action towards a dream, a hope, a future vision of myself. And I'm going to speak it into existence by sharing it in an optimistic way with you. So just remember, what feels the most vulnerable to you? What part of yourself has changed and that you want to share and you're excited and that is part of that future vision for you? And where can you just release that anxiety that's tied to what's kind of crumbling in your life to realize that it's getting you back here? All right, guys, my daughter is waking up from her nap in the next room, so I'm going to have to cut it off here. But Scorpio, another powerful message. You're stepping up into a world of your own making, a Technicolor world, and it's going to be fabulous. But for each of you, it will be different. All right, Scorpio, I hope you have a great rest of the week. And if you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. All of your likes, subscribes, and comments are greatly appreciated. And I appreciate you just watching this video because it allows me to have a platform to be able to emotionally connect to what I feel is my spiritual purpose. So thank you very much for watching. Bye, Scorpio.